Set, go. All right, we're recording. Welcome to our SIGGRAPH speaker event. We have Christian Delgado as an environment. I said that right, Christian Delgado?
Yeah, you got it right.
All right, cool. I just wanted to be sure. Christian Delgado, who is an environment artist and has worked on New World at Amazon Game Studios. So take it away, Christian.
Hi, everyone. So as you can see, my name is Christian Delgado. Currently, I am an environment artist at Amazon Game Studios working on New World. And I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about my journey of how I got there and, my experiences. So a little bit about me. I started at Rio Hondo Community College as an animation major. Before that, I was into architecture. I was into engineering, and I was a lot into the creative field. So I always knew I wanted to do something creative. And then when I found Rio Hondo, I decided to just go for game art. I graduated from Laguna College of Art and Design, class of 2020. And then right after I graduated, I was hired at Amazon Game Studios as an intern. And then from an intern, I went into a full-time environment artist. And some of the hobbies I like to do is obviously play video games, also board games. I'm really into miniatures and any kind of board games, puzzles. I still paint every occasional, try to spread out my artistic views and stuff. I love camping and going outdoors, and especially learning, which is something that I feel like has helped me throughout my life and has helped me, get me to where I'm at. So, yeah. So I'm gonna start off with some of my stuff that this is like schoolwork, like I think this is my sophomore year at LCAD. So I already had some experience with 3D, but I wasn't sure if this is exactly what I wanted to do because I was also really interested in 2D and doing digital art. But when I was doing these projects for this one class, which is game modeling for games, this is kind of when I started to really enjoy 3D. So my very first prop, basic phone, it's just, this is my very first prop, just out of basic wood, there's nothing too special, I was getting the fundamentals down. Second prop, got a little bit better. I did this Harry Potter box with all the, the balls from their Quidditch game. And then my final prop, which was when I kind of felt like myself, like, wow, I really do love it 3D and I really want to go for it. And I was still in the mindset of prop modeling at this point, not very much environment, but I knew prop and environment are kind of like interchangeable in the field. But this is when I did this Overwatch Junkrat, more realistic look, and I really fell in love. And this is when I started chasing the 3D. And then I actually changed my major at LCAD because I was in 2D and then I went to 3D. So by the time I got into my senior year, I kept thinking, where do I want to, like, where do I want to work? Like, what kind of style do I want? So I can fit at least my two last semester at LCAD to fit a portfolio for a certain company. Like, did I really want to work at Obsidian Entertainment, Respawn, Blizzard? So I really had to sit down and really think about what I wanted. How can I make my portfolio fill these guides, especially if it's going to be multiple companies? Like, what do they have in common? Like, are they realistic? Are they stylized? Are they very pixel? All that stuff. So it was a really big planning that I started as a senior. Also, always asking for guidance to my teachers. A lot of my teachers, they were already working in the game industry. Some of them did work at Obsidian, some of them worked at Riot, some worked at Blizzard. So I had those connections with them, and a lot of them were my my role models, and I would always go to them for questions, and they would help me to navigate my portfolio pieces and give me guidance on like what I should have in my portfolio, what I should take out, what I should change and stuff like that. So I really, teachers were great. They're like the best at LCAD, and they really helped me a lot. And then always getting, trying to get out of my comfort zone, like trying new things. That's something I would emphasize a lot, especially to like students, is like, learn new stuff, learn new programs, always watch YouTube. I mean, YouTube, there's so many videos of learning new things, new techniques, new software. And that's still something I'm still doing today, even at work, just to stay relevant, just to stay up to date, and just to be successful in this kind of business where everything's evolving, everything is changing. So definitely, yeah, something I really emphasized, especially as a senior, was, just trying new things that I've never done. So for my final senior year, you know, this is when I started doing environment art. So in a span of just one semester, I had to come up with these three nice portfolio pieces that can show these companies that, you know, I can at least be an entry level or maybe even associate level. And this was one of my very first environment pieces that I ever did, like completely. I've dabbled in environment, but not to this full, you know, where I was working on modular building, you know, textures, you know, little kits, decals, and learning all this other advanced stuff as a senior. And this was when I was doing this project, I was helped a lot from my teachers, especially my teacher from Obsidian, you know, how to get, you know, how to make realistic stuff, how to, you know, add these like decals and make it, you know, look used like in a video game and stuff. So that's something I really try to focus is like, how can I make this look like it could belong in some video game and with a style. And then, you know, another prop that I worked on was this sci-fi gun. Like I said, like this was really out of my comfort zone. Like not that I'm not into sci-fi, but I'm more into that fantasy, high fantasy, you know, World of Warcraft, like I said, Lord of the Rings, you know, all that nerdy stuff, goblins and stuff. So I really wanted to challenge myself as a senior and be like, you know, if I can do that, I want to be able to do at least sci-fi just in case the job requirement, you know, asks for it. And I want to show them that I'm very, you know, flexible on what I can do. So this was a real challenge, you know, a lot of hard surface modeling, but I did learn a lot, and it was a really fun project. At times I was frustrated a little bit, but you know, you just kind of overcome those difficulties. And then for my final prop, another sci-fi thing. I don't know if people know this, but this is from Warhammer 40K. Like I said, I'm into miniatures. I love painting miniatures. I like building them. So I was like, why not model something very complex? And this was a nightmare. It was crazy. It was a lot of pieces, a lot of time, but I got it done. It was sci-fi, another thing I'm not really used to doing, but I was able to accomplish. And the end result, I mean, I feel like I did successful. I felt proud, and I was able to, you know, show these three pieces just on my portfolio of my ArtStation. Because before, my ArtStation had those other three pieces I showed, and you know, my teacher said, you know, delete those. You don't need any of those because your work now, you know, is next level. You don't want to show them, you know, the low level that you used to do because they'll still think you do that kind of work. So, you know, try to just show three pieces and you'll be fine. And you know, it actually worked, surprisingly. So as soon as I graduated, I had my portfolio up. I always kept in touch with a lot of my teachers, either it was through Discord, emails, always asking, you know, tips and how to land a job. I applied for at least like over 50 job listings, like everything. I was just applying to so many companies, you know, just trying to get my stuff out there. Teachers were talking to directors to see if they can get me some interviews. But out of all those job listings, and you know, I got just 3 phone interviews out of everything I've applied to. And some of the stuff I did apply for, I felt like, you know, obviously they need a higher level stuff, but you know, my teachers would say like, don't be scared to just apply for those. Cause sometimes, you know, you get lucky and you might land the job, or at least you'll be in the system and they'll have an eye on you. But from those the places I applied, I got a phone call from Obsidian, one from Santa Monica Studios, and then one from Amazon. But out of those 3, Amazon was the only one who gave me an offer and was willing to go for it. And I obviously took it because I was like, why not? You know, Amazon. Like I've known a little bit of Amazon. I didn't know much. I knew they were working on this game, New World. I had no idea, you know, how, you know, that they were making games like this. So I was like, I took my chances. I was like, you know, let's go for it. This is an internship. I'm in, you know. I forgot to mention. So for those interviews, you know, something that also helped me, some advice that my teachers would give me was, you know, make sure to look at, you know, research the companies, you know, see what their mission statement is. So when you talk to them, you know, you can kind of hit those, like, to see if it, you know, you fit in that crowd, you fit in that, you know, in that kind of mood and vibe. and you can talk about, you can kind of relate to whoever's interviewing. And I feel that really helped me, because that's the first thing I did with Amazon. It's like, what is their mission statement and what do they strive for? And it's always customer obsession. So that's something, I just kind of studied and try to, make myself more of a, how do you call a hire, like to be hired. So as an intern, when I was hired as an intern, I wanted to be an environment artist, but at the time they said, are you still willing to join us, even though we won't be able to actually put you in your position? You'll be more of a general artist, you might have little side jobs everywhere. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'll take any work at this point, I'll be more than happy. I just want to work on games. That's all I care for. So I took it. It was the best decision I made. Like I wasn't picky. I was like, I'm gonna get in. And a lot of the experience I got was working with these professionals that, they're just on another level. They were able to give me all these cool tips. I was learning so many new things. I was already getting the ball rolling on how to work as a team and in a professional environment, which is totally different from being at school, where you're kind of on your own, you're doing your own stuff, compared to working on a team. You're very collaborating and stuff. And something like I would like to emphasize is I'm always learning and always trying to adapt. So any jobs or any projects they would want to give me, I would say yes. And if I knew I couldn't do it, then I'll tell them I don't think I'm ready for this. And that's something I liked about Amazon, is how flexible and how generous they are with that kind of stuff. Like, they'll ask you first on certain projects, like, do you feel you can do this? If you can't, don't worry, we can, we'll move you around. Don't worry, especially being a generalist artist, I was able to kind of touch a little bit of stuff. So because of that, I was able to do stuff that I never thought I was going to be doing in games, and just learning new workflows and learning the engine and learning how things click and how everything kind of comes together. Like, it's just not one little team. It's like a bunch of other teams that all kind of collaborate to make this game. So some of the odd jobs I got in the beginning as an intern, I never thought I would be doing painting icons. This was literally the very first project they gave me. Is like, here, so we want you to get these icons, and they kind of level up, depending on the material they are, and the higher the level, the more stats the players get. So here you go, just make these. One of them is for strength, one is for intellect. They gave me like a little backstory of what each jewelry is going to do, and I went with it. And I feel like in the beginning, they were kind of testing to see what I can do as an artist, and kind of trying to see if they can gain that trust with me to see if I'm capable of doing this job. And, I tried my best. I did whatever I could. I asked questions. If I was like always trying to, like, same with school, always trying to get critique, always getting critique, always, going back and forth to see you're on the right path, so you don't go too far and they tell you, oh, sorry, kind of, can you bring it down? So this was the very first thing I did. And these icons are actually in the game. And when I saw them as an intern, when they were in game, I was so excited. I was like, yay, I did something as an intern and it's in the game. The next project after this, once I got this done, was, again, they're still trying to gain that trust. So I didn't make this jewelry. I was in charge of just doing a basic texture. So that's what they had me do. They want to see my texture skills. And I was honest with them. I told them, texturing is not my best skill. That's something I'm still working on. And they're like, don't worry, just do your best. And if we need to fix anything out, we'll go back and fix little stuff, but just work on this, get these up to a good level where, we can still use them. And, I feel like being honest with them and just letting them know was really, really helpful to them, and very, they took into account that, I might need this little help. And this are the pieces that I came out. They gave me 8 jewelry pieces, and they said, here, just texture them, see what you can do. We'll talk again, critique, and then we'll go back and forth until, we think it's okay, and we'll move you to the next thing. So that was my second project. But also in between, I was doing other minor stuff, like just fixing, like retopologizing and stuff, which I didn't feel like showing it because it's kind of boring stuff. But again, other projects I was in charge for was just retexturing this treasure chest. And then, so these were like, kind of like models that are already made in game and just make a story out of them, so they can be for player housing. Like players can buy this and then they can decorate their house with it, like a beer station, and then like a cooking station. So they got me doing this. So once I got in here into this, it was me learning the engine. So that was another whole different beast. But again, I was able to get the help that I needed, like I said, asking questions, and just, always staying in contact with my art supervisors and stuff like that. And then once I got into this level where I was able to go do texturing and get into the engine, they kind of told me, okay, now we feel like you're ready to just work on your own prop. It's going to be something small, but you'll do it from beginning to finish. We want you to do some pirate coins. We want a single coin, a stack coin, and then a pile of coins. So I was like, okay, I think I can do that. So, this is the very first prop I was able to actually do, and it's in game right now, which was exciting again, to see that I have at least some pieces already in the game that I can, be proud of. And so I went from modeling to sculpting to texturing, which was really awesome. It was a fun time, and I got a lot of help. And at that time was when they started asking me, which is really what I really appreciated was, what do you really want to do in the game industry? Like, do you want to be a prop artist, or do you want to be like an environment? And I kept mentioning I want to do environment. And I was really grateful that, my art manager at the time said, okay, don't worry, like at least for your last month as an intern, we'll get you in the team with environment artists to see how you do and to see how that goes. And he was able to get that done. So at the last month, once I did all those other projects, I moved teams and to be in the environment team just for like the last few weeks, or I think last month of my intern, to work on environments, although it was basic stuff. And so what I had to do for these pieces was literally just add this hanging vines like through all these ruins. Like it was a lot of work and it was very tedious, and it was just decorating and making stories and stuff like that. And so that's when I started doing real environment art for me, just going in engine and decorating stuff. Again, just more ruins and just getting used to the engine, working with the environment team, just getting that connection with them, asking them questions, asking them for feedback. And I feel like once I joined that team, I was able to connect a lot with them, and it's the reason why they were able to help me get rehired after my intern. Because after my intern, I took like a month break because at that time they weren't hiring, but they still kept in contact with me, letting me know, oh, don't worry, in October or November, we'll have a spot open and we'll get you contract work, because we really liked working with you. You were very flexible. You were always, you would always, try to help us where you can. And we really need more people. And now that you already have this experience, we don't have to train you as much. So this is when they reached out to me and they told me to be an environment artist for them. And like I said, I was very open to take on projects and help the team, which is something that, they really enjoyed. I was able to move around from team to team and touch, like, I became a generalist, and then now I'm an environment artist because of it, because I was able to just, just say yes and just try to fit in and adapt to what they wanted. And I was able to gain trust from them, which was, something that they're always looking for. Because I feel like something I've always heard, and sometimes something that all my teachers ever say is like, you want to work with someone that is, enjoyable, and not someone that's going to be, very like, how can I say it, like very mean or very like antisocial, not that you have to always be social, but just someone that you can get along with. And because, you can't really teach those skills. You can teach how to work a program, you can teach how you can, level up as an artist, but those kind of social skills, it's kind of hard to relearn that. And so they try to make sure that you fit well and you can work with others before they actually try to look at your actual work. And I feel like that was very, very true, because I feel like as an intern, I still didn't feel very confident about my work. I was proud of it, but I still felt like these other professionals, they're like crazy, like they're super good, but they have the experience. But now that they knew that I can work well with them and I can socialize with them. And I was very open to critique. I can, I take critique. I was able to, refine stuff that they wanted me to change is what something that really helped. And I think made them, really wanted me to work with them. And they really liked that I always asked for help. And that I knew how to absorb knowledge when they were teaching me something, learning stuff and trying to be clear of what they're trying to show me, and just always be curious about learning new things and new workflows. Really helped me. So now we get to this piece where I'm already I'm an environment artist at this point. So pretty much at this point, my goals are, I didn't make any of these, I didn't model, but other people that modeled it gave me the pieces, and then I make the scene. So that was basically what my job is at this point. So these like Lego pieces, and I would just build this swamp area. So they'll give me like a little brief, like, oh, this is going to be like a shrine in the swamp, and we want it to be murky and be very foggy and mysterious. And then they give you a long list of stuff, and they give you kind of creative freedom, which is really awesome. And I've heard from a lot of other teachers and other other coworkers that worked at other places that it's very surprising that Amazon gives you this much creative freedom, where they just tell you that and then you just go off with it, and and you just you can tell the story in your own way and decorate in your own way. Obviously you have to hit these little certain marks, but they say that it's not very common in the workplace. A lot of the old jobs they used to have, they're very strict on certain things they had to follow, which is something I like. I like being free to do what I want, and then obviously if they tell me change stuff, I'll change it, because that's what I have to do as an artist. So more pieces that I worked. And so when I was getting to these pieces, when I was building these, I was really nervous, because this is my very first time creating these stuff, like these big scenes that they wanted me to do in a week, just build this whole scene in a week and move on to the next, because this game is going to be released soon. So meeting deadlines, meeting time management, and just getting as much help as I can to get these pieces moving was very frustrating and very scary to me. And but I was able to overcome it over time and got more confident when I was creating these pieces. And something that really helped was also, always writing down what I needed to do for the day, and then kind of doing like a checklist. So that really helped out, especially being straight out of school, and being this new artist in this big career world. It was very, very scary. So here's some more other pieces. Again, at this, I was still just building stuff. I didn't model any of it, even though I really wanted to. But I still enjoyed, I kind of treated it like Legos, and Legos are something that I really enjoyed. So that's something I kind of just connected both of them together, and I just treated them as Legos and started building these worlds. But yeah, I mean, that's my story. I wish I can show you stuff that I'm working on right now, but a lot of it still hasn't been released, or it's under NDA. And I'm actually not doing this stuff anymore, which is I'm actually now in charge of making the kit and building it at the same time, which is something I really wanted to do. And I really wish I could show you more stuff of all the cool stuff that we're doing and we're gonna add eventually, but unfortunately I can't. But yeah, I mean, that's my story. I know it's pretty short, but it's I'm a newcomer, and yeah.
Thanks, Christian.
Thank you so much, Christian.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, your stuff is really lovely.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
Go ahead, Carlos.
no, I was just gonna open it up for questions. I know in the chat, but yeah, I agree. Yes.
Oh, could you show your social media in case anyone wants to follow you?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I think I'm already following you on Instagram.
Yeah, I'll put my email on the chat if anyone ever wants to email, or I don't mind talking about video games or working in the industry. I'm more than glad to.
Here. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm also gonna leave a Q&A form if people want to ask questions for that. But since it's pretty chill, I think anyone can just like unmute if they like.
Mhm.
Or type in the chat too. That works.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, something I was gonna ask. So like
Yeah.
during your internship, when you were kind of just doing like general art stuff too, like I know at the end they kind of like push you toward the environment team, but like is that like the usual kind of experience that people normally get, where it's like they kind of try to help you like do they try to pinpoint more on what you want to do or what you're like strongest at? I don't know if that's a confusing question.
No, that makes perfect sense. Actually, so from what I've heard, at least from the inside the company, other places don't really do that. I mean, they do try to help, but they said a lot of Amazon, they try to fit you where you want to be fitted. You know, all you have to do is ask. All you have to do is tell them what you want to do, and they'll try to fit it in. So it's kind of hard for me to actually answer just because I haven't experience with other companies. But from what I've heard, it's not very common. It's and it's not saying that you can't do it. It's just I heard that Amazon is very easy to do that stuff because they want you to work where you're going to be the strongest. Because they'll get the most value out of you, and then you'll get the most satisfaction out of it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I was gonna say, I think I've heard from like other artists a lot of times they you're kind of whatever role you're in, you're just kind of in, so to speak, whenever
Yeah.
you want to be there or not. So it's kind of cool they gave you the opportunity to actually like kind of really explore a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
like within just that internship. I think that's super cool in general.
Yeah, and even right now, like I said, like so what these were called, they're called POIs, and I was a POI artist, and they'll give me a POI description and just build it. And then my art manager at that time, she told me, hey, I wanted to know if you wanted to work with Don, which Don is my art director now, and he was my teacher at LCAD. And she asked me, do you want to work with them for a bit? They need some help with some of the kit building and modeling and stuff. And I was like, yeah, of course I'll help, because at that point, like a lot of the PO artists were kind of just doing bugs. We are just fixing bugs at that point because we weren't coming up with new content until later. And so I started working with Don and making the kit, which is something I always wanted to do. And so my art manager asked me, hey, if this is something you really like, we can try to switch you, because it seems like this is something you really enjoy. And I was like, yeah, of course, I'll definitely I want to just join the team. And it took like maybe 2 weeks, and then it made it official. I moved teams, and now I'm just doing that. And I was like, that's really dope. And it felt just the same way as an intern, like how quickly they were able to just move me around and just to help other team. Which I feel like with Amazon, I feel like a lot of people are moving back and forth. Like a lot of people have multiple like job descriptions. At one point they're this, but then later on they're this, which is really cool. And I feel like it makes me stay fresh and makes me like makes me want to just continue learning new stuff.
Yeah, it sounds like a really good work environment in general.
Yeah, that's another thing. So it's funny because when you hear Amazon, there's a lot of negative stuff coming to the name. So that was one thing I always question, like, do I really want to work for them? But I'm kind of glad. I feel like with Amazon Game Studios so far, they've treated me really nicely, and it's been very positive. Nothing to like nothing bad that I've seen or experienced yet, or hopefully they don't. But overall, the culture is really, really, really fun.
They probably operate a lot differently than like regular Amazon too, since they're pretty separate, right? So that probably helps a lot.
Yeah, but yeah, it definitely like, but it still has the name Amazon, so you like everything that's happening with Amazon kind of affects us too. So it's like that's the probably the bad part about it, but overall it's really fun.
So I got a question.
Yeah.
So aside from the MMO games that you mentioned that you grew up playing from Blizzard, what other types of games would you say inspires your creativity when it comes to making environments?
So other right now a lot of like RPGs, or like like Elden Ring just came out, so that's something that's very aspiring right now, with the way they're building stuff, the castles and stuff. So that's one of the games I really look into. So it's a lot of like those open world RPGs, but I feel like now my taste has changed a lot to the point where what inspires me is ArtStation. Just going to ArtStation and seeing all these artists do all these amazing work, and then also Instagram following these big artists. It's like I think one of the artists that really, like the types of artists that inspire me the most are artists that do 2D, because I wish I could do 2D, but I mean I'm not that I'm bad. I just don't have the patience to learn it and stuff. And I always wish I would learn it, but that's something that always inspires me. Like, oh man, that's so cool drawings. These are super sick paintings. I want to model them. So that's like the best way I can interpret it. So yeah, a lot of ArtStation now and a lot of other artists art is what inspires me the most, more than games now. Yeah, because with games, it's kind of hard just because I kind of play the same games now, like those basic Dota, like Dota or League of Legends and those kind of games. So they don't really, I don't feel like, not that they're not inspiring, but it's just like not the style that I go for. I just mostly play those because they're fun, but mostly ArtStation.
I feel like it's a completely different beast. Like I kind of feel the same way. I feel like back in the day it was all games or art books and stuff I look at, and
Yeah.
now it's just completely looking at. You get, I don't know. For me, I love looking at people's portfolio websites too.
Yeah,
It's just so cool. I just
it's
have like
fun.
a whole folder saved.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I have a whole collection, and I have a whole collection of folders of artist stuff, and then I have another collection of stuff I will eventually model. Like 2D art, like these cool scenes, and I'll eventually model them. Maybe some of them I started but never finished. But yeah, it's very inspiring. And I still actually like books, so I have a bunch of art books. I buy all the Pixar art books because I love Pixar. Like if that's okay. So how you asked me earlier, like what's one of your companies? If I could, I would work at Pixar just because I love their art. Although it's not video games, but I just love their movies and just their style is very, very awesome.
Well, you already have you already have the experience too, and I imagine you could always work. You have
I
the
hope
choice
so.
to get
Yeah.
multiple companies.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
possible.
yeah, that's possible. Yeah, that is possible.
Go to Pixar for a project and then come back to games.
That's true.
Heck,
So a lot of
maybe
people I
you
hear
might
who go to
even-
Pixar stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you
Oh,
could
sorry.
even work on a Pixar-based game too.
Yeah, I know. If they do make them.
Well,
That'd be
have
pretty
you?
cool.
I think there's one that was just announced, Disney Mirrorverse.
Oh, really? Never
I
heard
think
of
it's
it.
like a big MMO that's in the works
Really?
right now, and the trailer just came out. I think 2 weeks ago. So,
No, I never heard of that. What?
Yeah, I'm still not entirely sure what it's going to be, but it's giving me
Oh,
big MMO.
I see it.
vibes on it,
I'll watch that later. Save that on my YouTube.
yeah.
Always watching it.
But yeah, have you seen the newest what was it? Did you see that they released the Luca art book for free? It was like
Yes.
this Luca and Encanto one. Oh
Yes.
man, I went nuts over them.
Yeah, I still want the physical copy of Luca, but every time I go to Barnes and Nobles, it's never there. Or it's always sold out on Amazon. Eventually, I'll get it. But yeah,
Yeah.
Luca, like that's probably one of my, and then the new one that just came out, Turning Red, right? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, Turning Red.
Yeah, that one's really good too. So I want to get that art book. And there's too many art books out there. Like I probably spend so much money on that stuff, but I find it worth it. I just like looking at that stuff. It's very inspiring.
It's okay. It's part of the education and learning.
Right.
And also because they're really cool to have.
Yeah, they're always cool to just collect. Like my goal is to just have a room full of books eventually. I have one book stand almost filled, but I want the whole room.
Is there any game you're playing, by the way, right now? I know you mentioned like Elden Ring and stuff. Are you playing Elden Ring?
Yeah, so I just finished Elden Ring. The next game, at least for one player games that I want to move on to is the Horizon Dawn game, because I got it, but then Elden Ring came out, so I just moved that to the side. So that's definitely one of the games I need to finish next. Other than that, I'm always back and forth with Dota and League of Legends. Like for a while, I was playing Dota forever, and then now I'm back to League of Legends. So currently, I'm playing that. Every once in a while, I play like Apex. What's the other games? I haven't played World of Warcraft in a while now. So that I'm so out of touch with that now. And then I play New World every
New
once in
World,
a while. Yeah.
is it cool to see your stuff? Like you mentioned, even like as an intern, you got to have some of like your like props put in game and stuff too. Do you like go around to your area specifically just to like look at them?
Yeah, it's funny. So for these areas, these are very high level areas. I haven't reached that place yet. That's where I'm working forward to right now, because these are like level 60s and I'm like level 48 or 45, something like that. So I'm almost there. But yeah, for these items, at least these icons, you can see them right away when you're crafting, because there's crafting, so you can craft jewelry, and you can see these rings right here, which is really cool. And then these coins, you can see them too because they came out with a pirate set, same with this treasure chest. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, you can see them right away. It's really funny. And when I saw these in the beginning, I was like so amazed. Like even though they're just icons, I was like, I made that stuff. That's so cool. And then seeing my name in the credits too, I was like, yay, I made it.
Yeah, I feel like it's like what those what is it? It's like when actors say they see themselves on screen the first time. It's kind of like the same thing, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and it took a while to kick in to actually like really like set in and really enjoy it. It took a while, but once it hit, I was like, this is so cool. And now that I'm working on more stuff, and we're gonna eventually release that new stuff, I can't wait to see that and show that to players. And because something I really like about is when people talk about the environment, because I worked on that. Like when they saw this place is called Ebonscale, and when people saw when we finally announced, oh, this new zone Evansville, like people talking, the environments look beautiful, this looks awesome, this is my favorite place. It was it hits you different. Like, yeah, I'm happy people are enjoying it and having fun with it.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I feel like that must be amazing too. I hope you get to reach that area yourself though. I'm sure you'll be
Yeah,
like double wham too,
yeah,
by then.
eventually. I mean, if anything, I can just go in an engine and just fly over there, but I'm just kidding. But yeah, hopefully eventually I'll reach it and then just go walk around my areas that I worked on, which are really cool.
Okay. Does anyone in the chat have any questions, or any questions in the Q&A form?
We're still waiting. If anyone wants, let me redrop the form again. It might have gotten it. Here. There we go. If you guys want to either like fill out questions on our form, or you're more than welcome to just unmute as well. You can go ahead and ask questions there.
And then also,
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say also, Jad, don't worry. Feel free to message me whenever you want. If you guys need any type, any tips or want me like a portfolios, I don't mind doing that. And I know that you're recording it, so hopefully if people do watch it, they'll get the chance to see my links and stuff.
Yeah, we'll be uploading on our YouTube channel after the event. So yeah, anyone's able to see the recording from there. Oh yeah, I was gonna mention, I remember you said in the beginning you were more interested in engineering, and then you kind of like transition into kind of going more the creative art side. Like, how come, like, I guess, like, what was the, what was the big shift? Were you like into like the creative part of engineering? That's kind of how you like train graphs, I assume.
Yeah, so it all started with architecture. I like drawing plans, I like drawing buildings. And then from there, I kind of went into AutoCAD with the 3D software, and I started doing 3D. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. So once I went to community college, I took an engineering class, but it was a 3D engineering class where you make, parts. And I was like, whoa, this is really cool. This is even more fun than, just making, these blocky buildings, because it got more complex with, certain, like, I think I was building like car parts in 3D and stuff like that. And that was really cool. But the thing that turned me off from both of those were the rules that you have to follow. Like for architecture, once you get to the rules, like you have to meet these certain guidelines for safety, which obviously makes sense. You got to be safety and everything. But I didn't like learning all that stuff. I just wanted to create anything I can. And then that's when I got into animation and started modeling whatever I wanted. So yeah, it was a weird jump. I just knew I just wanted to 3D model stuff, right at the get-go. I really wanted to do that stuff. And then once I saw that animation was a thing, and then game art, I was like, wait, I like games and you can model stuff for games. Count me in, sign me up right now. And Yeah, it was a weird jump. Yeah, I just knew I just want to build stuff, but yeah, it wasn't like chemical engineering or anything like that. It was more like just the modeling of part of engineering. Everything else I didn't like.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not like an engineer myself. I'm like in computer animation, but my boyfriend's in engineering, so I always see him do stuff like on AutoCAD, and I notice like you have to like import parts in from like different manufacturers, and you have to put in. You're still modeling it, so like he actually knows a lot of fundamentals of like 3D, but like yeah, he has to like input all these numbers and make
Yeah.
sure like the engineering analysis is correct, and I'm like that sounds like
Yeah,
such a headache sometimes.
that definitely, that's the thing I didn't like. I didn't feel, not that it's not creative, or but to me it just like following, like just doing numbers. I was like, I just want to do what I want. Like, I want to just model whatever I want and it works. And obviously in a video game, anything can kind of work, to some degree. You can be very creative and very free.
I actually wanted to what was it? Oh, sorry, actually we actually have a question from our Q&A form.
Okay.
It's from Thomas here in the chat, and he asked, do you guys use custom in-house software at Amazon Studios, like a company-specific game engine, or do you use some of the more accessible programs like Blender, Maya, Unreal Engine, etc.?
Yeah. So for our engine, Amazon uses Lumberyard, which is owned by Amazon, and I believe it's free, but that's the engine they use. But regarding software like Blender, Maya, it's up to the artist what they want to use. We have people using some people using Maya. I use 3ds Max, and other people are using Blender. Some people are using ZBrush. It at the end of the day just matters that it works with the engine. That's all they care for. They don't care how you do it, how you make it. It's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you have to do to get it done. So yeah, so we have access to every 3D software you can think of that whatever you're comfortable with. And sometimes you do have to go back and forth because some of the models won't, like sometimes for Blender and then trying to go to 3ds Max, it won't work. So you have to do certain things to kind of make it work. But other than that, I mean, yeah, they just, with Substance, they have all they have Substance Designer, Substance Painter. It's all very compatible and it's really cool. It's like we're not stuck to just one software. The only thing is we're stuck to Lumberyard, which is their engine. But other than that, I mean, you're free to do whatever you want.
Oh, I don't know if you can see the chat, Christian, but yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. I was like, oh, do I need to? Because sometimes in their when you're trying to look for a job, they'll tell you a certain program. Like, wait, do I need to just know that? But yeah, Amazon. From what I've heard, other companies are the same. Like, as long as you get the job done, it doesn't matter.
So, what kind of advice would you give to yourself from back in school that you've learned over the years?
Something I would tell myself is, obviously apply to internships no matter what level you think you're in. You can be a beginner or you can be, a senior or whatever. Because usually with interns, at least with certain companies, they'll take it, they'll look at your stuff and maybe you get the job, maybe you don't, but at least you're trying. Another thing would be, I think for at least for my senior year, or at least getting closer to graduating, is just just stay with at least 3 good portfolio pieces, maybe 4, and stick to the subject that you want to do. Don't make the people that are trying to hire you question what you're good at and what you want to do. Like one of my faults and something I got critiqued on when they interviewed me was, they couldn't tell what I wanted to do. They saw some props, but then they saw environment, so they were kind of like, a little bit questionable. I think I got that a lot from Santa Monica Studios, when I got their interview. So that's something I probably wish I would have, if I could go back, I would just focus on what I wanted to do, which is, environment. So I would show more environment that I can do it. And I think one last thing would be, just try to be open to certain, like, to different subjects. Like, don't just stick to one thing that you're very comfortable with. And I know I pointed it out earlier that, that's something I always try to contest myself with my comfort zone, but I still kind of fell into it at some degree. But just push it further, show, because at this time as a senior, I wish I would have done more ZBrush, because ZBrush is something, at least for Amazon, and that's the reason I didn't get the job at Santa Monica Studios, because they wanted ZBrush stuff. So just show more of my skills. I knew how to do ZBrush, I just didn't never posted my work because never, I never had a finished, like, project with it. So yeah, I think those are some of the small things I wish I could do if I were to go back. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I feel like, I had some good advisors and some good teachers to really guide me and really help me out with a lot of stuff. Like, I owe them like a lot. It's really cool.
Well, yeah, since you mentioned about just showing the interviewers the specific skill set that you want to present to them, like, do you have your own website other than just or for portfolio, at least, other than your art station?
Yeah, it's just my art station, and then Instagram I sometimes post stuff, but it's just mostly my art station. Um,
All right. In this case, if you had like your own like custom domain website, like
mhm,
at least for me, I don't really have a lot to show for yet since I'm still new.
mhm.
But at least if you're going to like environment, like would you format your website to just present only your environment stuff and just hide all your artwork in like in different tabs, I suppose?
Yeah, I now that I've seen that a lot happen with ArtStation, is very helpful, is making tabs. And I feel like, I think you can also link certain tabs. So like you can have a tab just for environment, and then another tab for, like, if you're interested in characters or you experiment with characters, and you can specifically just send them the environment. And if they want, they can look at the character, but they know that you just want to do environment. So that's all they're looking at. So yeah, I would say that's something really cool that ArtStation does, and that's all a lot of the recruiters talk about it with ArtStation. Is like, it's such, like, there's no need of making your own website anymore, because ArtStation just makes it so easy now. You can just click it and then you can just see the work and stuff. But yeah, that would be a good idea. And that's something a lot of teachers do, because when I was at LCAD, I'll be posting all the work I did, no matter what it was. And a lot of them would tell me, be careful what you post, because if you submit like a job application, they're going to judge you for, they're mostly going to look at your, like, your least successful piece, because then they'll know that's the work that you can do at your lowest. You know what I'm saying? So they say, be very sure of what you post, and if you're trying to be professional, just, you don't have to post a lot, because just from 3 good solid pieces, they can get a lot of information of what you're capable of doing and what you can do.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, for your internship, since you were kind of going in for like an art position, did you find your resume or cover letter was like anyway significant at all, or was it really just like your portfolio that was kind of like the main draw in?
So what they've told me is, yeah, it's all about the portfolio. Unless you have experience with other companies, you worked at other place, but they look at your portfolio from the beginning, and then your resume is, kind of like on the background. The only reason I guess my resume kind of worked is because at LCAD, we do a lot of like, there's something called GA 400, where we collaborate with other schools. I believe Fullerton is one of them. We collaborate with a lot of the engineering side of Fullerton, and same with I forgot the other school we do. And so basically, in my resume, I worked on a game before, but like for school, it was a game, and we actually launched it. We put it on Steam, and you were able to buy it, or on your phone, you were able to buy it. And I was a VFX artist at that point, and some 3D, and that really helped. At least that part helped, because they saw that I had some experience with teamwork. But other than that, they usually just straight go for the portfolio. It's like, there's not that there's no need for the resume. The resume is like a backup thing, but they just want to see that you can do the work, and if you're capable of joining the team, because usually they'll get all that more background once they interview you. because that's when they'll ask you the questions, of your work experience and stuff like that. But before you even get there, it's just all about the portfolio.
Okay, because I was wondering, because I mean, for me personally, I've been applying to like mostly production internships in the game industry, but
Mhm.
like, that one is like super resume cover letter dependent, and I haven't really. I've kind of been a little personally scared of applying for art positions, I guess,
Mhm.
but yeah, I know it's a bit of like yeah, it's definitely a lot more portfolio dependent in general. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it just
yeah,
was.
especially. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, sorry, go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, yeah. It depends on the job description, especially for artists. That's all they want to know is, all right, can you make the stuff, and can he fit in with the team, or can they fit in with the team? So wait, so do you do art, or do you just want to do production, or like what side of production do you want to do if you do want to do that?
So I'm kind of in this weird point. Well, me and Carlos we're both in our fourth years.
Mhm.
So it's just we're kind of getting very close to graduation. So
Mhm.
I've kind of been in a weird standpoint because at one point I was thinking about doing environment art. Now I'm thinking about doing character design, but I'm also thinking about doing producing. So it's kind of one of those like crossroads area.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, Actually, I've had a few friends that wanted to get into production too, when they got hit their senior year, and some of the teachers would say, just especially because it's an art school specifically, they don't really teach production. They would just the advice they would usually give them is, just try to get in as an artist, and then from there you move into production. Just try to get your foot in, as just as once you're in, and as long as you don't get blacklisted by being rude, or just giving yourself a bad name, you'll be okay to move around. But
Yeah, that's what I generally heard. So it's kind of
yeah,
like whatever's entry level is kind of the way.
to get in,
I
just
was,
get in. Yeah,
yeah, it's such a difficult industry at the end of the day, but it's
yeah,
such a cool, rewarding one.
yeah. And I think Amazon, I don't know if you checked, well, I don't know if they're still up, but they also I know they have other apprenticeships for like just specifically for production, and not just game art but game development. And then they have QA, if you're interested in that. They have human resources intern for game art, or for games. They have a lot of little, I'm not sure if they're still up. um Last night I checked, and I for sure saw the Seattle one, because I wanted to mention that if you really want to, you should try to turn in, try to apply for that internship. It's remote, it's remote work, so you'll be working from home. They'll send you your stuff, which is really cool. And like I said, you get all these cool perks, and you'll be able to work on the video game and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really cool. I mean, imagine getting to work on New World. That'd be awesome.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's definitely a bit of a difficult journey towards that path. I'm currently waiting to see where I'm gonna go next though.
Yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, for my senior, I had a lot of friends that were in that position too, and I at one point felt that way too. It's like, do I really, like, I would question myself, because there's those long nights when you're working on 3D modeling, and you're like, question yourself, do I really want to do this, for a living? Do I really enjoy this? And yeah, I feel you on that one. But I feel like everyone will find, eventually finds their spot and their little sweet comfort zone where they really want to do. It just, it might take time, but I feel like everyone has, can get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's also just like being patient with ourselves and stuff too, and just
Mhm.
doing the best we can.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you do 2D or 3D art or anything like that right now?
I'm in the computer animation program.
Oh,
I'm
okay, so
not
you're
gonna
animation. Okay.
Yeah, but I would say I have more experience with 2D because I originally like trained in more like traditional like 2D like character design and animation and stuff.
Mhm.
Personally, I think I followed you on Instagram. If you ever want to see my stuff, it's mostly 2D on there, so you wouldn't really
Okay,
see anything
I
beyond
see.
that. But yeah, I personally focus, I guess, but I guess it's just 2D is like my comfort zone personally.
Mhm.
Though I do think 3D is really cool, and I love especially like 3D like environment art and character art.
Oh, I love character art. See, that's another thing I wish I was good at.
I mean, with all the like, do you like personally do like a character art yourself, like on like
I
a?
I do. I tried to on ZBrush, just mess around with sculpting, but it's uh I like, I guess one of my flaws about myself is like sometimes I guess every artist can get to this point where you discourage yourself and you feel like, yeah, I'm never going to be good enough, or I'm never going to be able to do it. So that side of me always wins when I'm trying to do 2D or character art. um, that always wins. Like, this is frustrating, and I kind of give up. But I know I shouldn't, and I know I should keep trying. But that's just me, and that's something I'm still working with and still working on. Um, but yeah, I do dabble in ZBrush and try to make characters. I try to look up in our station some cool characters and try to ZBrush them as best as I can. Like, I think for one of my classes, I did the ogre from Lord of the Rings, or the troll, I mean, the giant troll from the caves. So I did that, and at that point I was into 3D printing, so I 3D printed it, which is really cool.
Have
Oh
you
yeah, I
or
was gonna ask you. Oh
sorry.
no, go ahead, Carlos.
Just a quick question. Have you or Amazon experimented with photogrammetry in your games?
No, no, we have not, and I don't think we will, because a lot of it, because the style, I feel like it's a little too stylized for photo geometry. It does look realistic, but it's stylized, and I feel like they don't really go. They don't want to go for that photorealism stuff. So no, from what I've heard, I don't think they dabble with any of that stuff. Like, we don't even have like an in-house like texture artist. Like, we all have like, we don't have like a library of that stuff either, which is really weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Jasmine. Since you're gonna ask him.
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot my question. If I don't ask it in like 5 seconds when I think of it, I will never remember to ask it. But yeah, I mean, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I feel like I keep interrupting. I think
No,
my
you're
Wi-Fi
not.
does slight delay.
I feel like I'm interrupted. Like, no.
Please speak ahead. You're a speaker.
So I was gonna just mention, which is what is cool too, is that, and like, at least in the game industry, there's a lot of little teams. Well, from Amazon, we have an environment team, but then it breaks down to like more little things. Like, so there's the general environment, and then there's the POI artists, there's the kit builders, then there is the terrain artists, then there's the foliage artists, then we have the environment concept artists, and it just keeps like spreading. And it's really cool because you can find your own little groove, or your own little like specific thing that you want to do. Like, you can say, I'm an environment artist, but what do you like to do? Do you like to do props? Do you like to do environments, like building scenes? Do you like texturing? Do you like sculpting? And so I forgot to mention, like, right now, like I said, I like to learn and like to do new stuff. So I had a review with my art director, and I think they do this every year. So this was my very first time doing it, where they kind of, they look at you as an artist for that year, and kind of tell things you can work on and things that you're doing great. And again, they're very flexible. So I'm very comfortable with hard surface modeling and stuff. And something I told him, something I really want to learn is doing textures in ZBrush, like sculpting trim sheets in ZBrush, and just doing more ZBrush work. And he's like, oh, okay, cool, that's good to know. When those tasks come up, I'll give you some, so we can get you started, and so you can learn doing that stuff. And yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Like I worked on my very first trim sheet in ZBrush, and I'm having a blast. I mean, it's frustrating because it's something new, but at the same time, I'm happy that they encourage you learning new stuff. And I don't know where I was trying to get, like what point I was trying to make, but I think it's just flexibility. But yeah, like, again, like, very flexible and very, I don't know how other companies work, but definitely Amazon, I get that support, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's really nice that it sounds honestly like a really cool studio, like just how much like opportunities they give you in general.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel like I got really lucky with my very first experience in the game industry. Uh, yeah, obviously, I started when COVID started, so straight away I was working from home. So I haven't been to the studio, but from what I've heard from the studios, like they have a cool like game room where they have board games, and then they have a game room where you can play video games. They have a kitchen where they have snacks and food, and they even have kegs so you can drink if you want while working. I was like, wait, what is that? Like I want to do
uh,
that. So I can't wait. And so that's why I'm excited to go to work. I'm just not excited for the drive and the gas, but I'm excited to do that.
I hear that, I remember I went to visit Unity up in San Francisco, and I remember
Uh-huh.
they had the same exact thing where every floor had a tap for beer and
Really?
and kombucha. Very funny.
Wow. That sounds great. Yeah, the same thing I heard because I for a field trip when okay, we went to go visit Obsidian Entertainment, and they had the same thing. They had beer on tap, and then they have a board game room where you can play board games. They had a video game room where there's a giant TV and people are playing on the Switch or PlayStation, whatever. It's like, damn, this is so cool. They had foosball tables. So like, what? Like, that sounds so much fun.
At least I don't know if this is the case at like every studio, but when I was talking to the guys at Unity, I was asking like, oh, who mostly drinks a beer? And they're like, based on all the departments we have, definitely the software engineers drink the most out of everyone else. The
That's
uh
funny.
the artists go home at 6 o'clock. We're here till 10 p.m.,
I
fellas.
bet. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's true. Once it's 5 o'clock, I'm out. Done. Unless
Yeah.
they need some like unless I'm gonna miss a deadline, I stay. But I try not to. And that's another thing. I remember going to school, you would hear a lot. Like I feel like it was scary thinking like hearing these companies doing crunch time. Like crunch time, you stay for hours. I remember reading an article for when this is when I really wanted to work at Blizzard. Like I read this article of this someone at Blizzard that was doing crunch hours, like to the point where he had to find an hotel nearby to stay at because his wife was so scared of him driving home. And there's a few times where he got in an accident. It's like I was really scared. I was like, what is this kind of work? Like this is intense. And now that I'm at Amazon, they encourage no crunch. He's like, you get off when you get off, you're done. We don't want to put that pressure on you guys. And we understand. And like, and they said there'll be times where we'll probably need you to stay an extra hour for like a week, but we try not to do those like I don't know if you heard from Rockstar, like how they were pushing their employees to like work awful hours. So I was scared. I was really scared. I was like, I hope I don't have to do that stuff because I'm not about that.
I mean, it could always be worse. It could be cyberpunk hours.
Oh god. Let's not talk about that. Oh
They're
no.
infamously horrible. I heard stories where people stayed at the studio for like a week. Not they won't even go home.
That's horrible. No, yeah, I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd be like, I'm done. I like me time.
I was gonna say, do they have plans to return you guys back to the studio? I thought you mentioned the Irvine one was closing down or like,
Oh, so no, so
or
it's
what was that?
so the Irvine one, it's closed right now
Oh, I
because
see.
yeah, we're not working. Like some people or some of our workers do go into, but they're more of the higher ups because they need to do something specifically. But from what's going around, it looks like we might do a hybrid where maybe 2 days out of the week we go in the office if we need to, and then the other days we work from home, which I'm okay with that. That sounds perfect. Um, yeah. So, but we're not sure if that hasn't been confirmed yet, or not. Nothing's set in stone yet. So I'm not sure how that's gonna work.
Yeah, it's very studio dependent, I think, and just like the mandates in the county and stuff. But I imagine like it's Orange
Yeah.
County, most of the mandates already kind of lifted off.
Yeah,
I,
yeah, because I have a friend at Obsidian. They started working in office right away. I was like, wow, you guys are already in office. Like we were still at home. They're still trying to figure out what they want to do. And yeah, I was like, that's crazy. All these other companies are like, no, we got to get back into the office.
yeah, I was talking to the Obsidian recruiter, like, yep, if once you come in, you're gonna be here every single day. I'm like, nice. So, but I know some of the studios like up in like the Bay Area and stuff, or like other parts of LA. There's like still waiting till like the summertime.
Oh,
kind
really?
of actually like move in person, because like everyone's like unsure, exactly what to do next. So it's definitely
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Yeah, and I
I hope
feel
you
like
get to eat that beer tap, dude.
I know, right? And I feel like with Amazon, they realized like, we could do wait, this is working from home. But yeah, like like in the beginning, they were a little bit rough, like working from home. But I feel like now that it's been like a year, I don't even know how long it's been. Like it feels like forever. But they know that they don't need to be at the in the offices to get stuff working and get stuff done. So I feel like that's also another thing they're considering. Is like we don't have to be in the office to do stuff. I mean, there's certain stuff that we miss out, like collabing and talking one-on-one and meeting and people. Because I've only met people one time when we had a lunch, like a launch party, almost, I guess, and that's the one time I've seen people like actual, like face to face. So it was kind of weird seeing all these people that I've been working with for months, and then this is the first time I seen them in face to face. Um, so you missed that, you missed those socials, like interaction and stuff. So that's why they're thinking of, oh, we could do hybrid, which I'd be fine with that.
Okay, did anyone else want to ask another question? And, yes, do you have access to that form? You can check too.
Oh wait, let me see, do I have access to that?
No, I think only yeah.
It should be. It's in our club folder, Carlo. You should be able to have access to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Here. See. I think that's about it. If anyone has any like last minute questions, they're free to ask them now. I think that's it for questions wise. I guess if no one else has anything else, I'll kind of leave this as like the official end of the recording. Thank you so much, Christian. It was really
Right.
great to have you come speak with us.
Yeah.
If you, like I said, if you guys are more than willing to still come and like ask questions in the chat if you like.
Yeah, or
But
feel
yeah,
free to message me. Yeah, I mean, I don't, like I said, I'm open for questions and tips and help as much as I can, because I understand, like especially being 10 years in school and the struggle. I understand.
yeah, no, honestly any help at this rate. Like it's a tough world out there, but
Yeah, definitely.
your journey is really cool though. I think it's really cool how you got to work at a really like awesome studio first go. You know what I mean? And just like get to
Yeah,
do really cool art for them.
yeah, yeah. It's really weird. It's like, oh, I'm in the right place at the right time, I guess.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and end the